Scoot nice and close.
Okay.
Hello there and welcome to Techopia. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you so very much for being a part of this truly unique episode, because today we are talking to a variety of amazing individuals, and we're going to start up with this powerful group of ladies that's sitting here to my right. We are here in the background. We didn't just decide we're going to do this show today in a dining hall. We are here at the Science and Tech Museum, and we're here because today, and leading up actually to March 8th, which is going to be National Women's Day as well, is the Women in Digital Science Conference and Data Science. There you go. Thank you very much. That is why Alison is here. Women in Data Science Conference. And what's great about it is we brought together such a unique group of ladies that have so much influence and do so much with regards to data, and just bringing everybody together and kind of embracing the conversation surrounding this topic. So with me here we have the speakers of today and of course the organizers. So Jody, thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Cindy, Fawn, and of course Alison. Now I have had the privilege of seeing you today, but I know a lot of the people out there did not. So if you'd be so kind to share a little bit, what was the key message that you wanted to get across today? What was great about having this conference? And then you spoke on stage and you had your panel discussions. What is it that you wanted to really share and get out there today?
Okay, so thanks, Carlo. Today we talked mostly about artificial intelligence, and we talked about it first from the perspective of what's happening in the research domain, and we heard from some research scientists, and then our panel took that thread and ran with the more of a business angle. So what are the industry impacts of artificial intelligence? Where do we see its potential, and what industries are adopting? So I started my keynote just sort of explaining that when we talk to companies about artificial intelligence, we're really talking about a very practical definition of artificial intelligence, perhaps a little bit broader than what the researchers talk about. And we're talking about a collection of technologies that work together to sense, comprehend, and act based on data and other types of cues. And what's important there is act. So we can develop tremendous insights through data science, tremendous insights through artificial intelligence, but unless we are embedding those insights into actions in everyday processes, we're not really moving the ball forward too much. So assuming that that's understood, what is underlying all of those technologies is a learning component. So up until this point in the history of technology, we have created rules for machines to follow. What's fascinating about artificial intelligence is rather than create specific rules for machines to follow, we're actually teaching the machines how to learn. We're either teaching them through examples, or we're teaching them by telling them when they've got things right, or we're allowing the machines to learn from one another. And through that, we see a number of value creation opportunities in industry. One is through more efficient operations, so using intelligent operations essentially to improve the way companies work. The second is by improving interactions with customers, employees, and suppliers. The third way to create value is enhancing judgment. So when we think of human intelligence, we think about a combination of prediction and judgment. The machines are getting really good at prediction. So if we rely on the machines for prediction and then apply our own judgment, that's a winning combination. Another way to get value out of AI is to get really a lot better at fraud detection and deepening trust with customers, deepening trust with citizens. And then finally, using AI to really develop new products and services. And so we think that's where the future lies.
Wow. Exciting. Well, thank you very much for that. Dr. Cindy, please.
Thank you very much. I was here today wearing a couple of hats. One was for CATA. I'm a board director there for the Canadian Advanced Technology Association, and really to promote for women to be attracted, developed, and retained in the STEM sector. I also am a CEO and founder of an AI company called Sales Choice. And the main message I have is that if you're in sales or marketing, the time is absolutely right for AI, overlaying analytics, as long as you've got good quality data. I can't understress that enough. that in order to really apply data in business, sort of echoing Jody's point, the linkage to process and process excellence and very deep behavioral changes as well. AI is very good at sense making. In our case, we're very good at predicting future outcomes on forecasts using AI and multiple simulation strategies. But the real question is will you in fact change your behavior to actually not pursue an opportunity that isn't promising based on the signals? So you really do need to integrate things into the day-to-day practices operationally. I think the big message coming here today which really attracted me was it's the first time actually in the history of probably, I bet, Canada, that there's only been women speakers throughout an entire conference. It's very possible this is a historical day. But also, I think WIDS also is an international movement with Stanford, and Allison can say more about that. But in order to achieve the Canadian innovation objective of a supercluster, AI is very key to that, and that means attracting all men and women and all diversity into the equation. We have some serious systemic issues here, and if we want to dominate and lead in AI, we're not going to get there unless we promote and attract more women. So that's what brought me out here today, and very timely to your point that the international conference is following. So and I'll let Fawn continue on and talk about the AI directory too.
Well, I came out here also with two hats. The first was as president of IT World Canada, which is the largest IT publisher, and of course AI is something that we're covering very closely. The other piece is that I'm vice chair of Women in Communications and Technology, and alongside Kata and Cindy, we're all working together to really make a difference. One of the things that we've done is we've created an AI directory, and you can find it at aidirectory.ca. It's free. And the whole idea is to promote collaboration of people who are doing something, who are doing the research, who actually have products, who need to meet other people in order to move their initiatives forward. So I think that's also very important. We launched it here. The other thing that was launched, it's not that it's the first time, but because it's this conference is being held in different regions consecutively and streaming, I think that you've broken new ground. I know IT World Canada worked with Allison. We have an iframe on our site, and it's streamed the whole conference to 1 million people. So we're pretty excited about that. I want to see the uptake, and certainly we'll keep that in mind when we're doing events in the future. But I think what came out for me is that I think Canada has a real shot of leading. I know that Quebec or Montreal is known as the hot spot. I know Toronto has Vector. It was really exciting to see all the other initiatives going on that I had no idea about. I thought it was great that there was a lot of young women, very talented, well-educated, who've chosen to be in the field of STEM. But also what I thought was great is the men are listening. And they want to get involved too, and they want to do things that will be more forthcoming for women to feel comfortable in the environment, and that's been a big problem.
So I was very pleased, and I had a phenomenal panel here in support from all these women and the presenters. A couple of things that I learned in running this, in organizing this event. One, when it came to the panelists and the speakers, and in the end when I chose them, what was interesting to me is 3 of them are from Iran originally. That's where they're born. And in speaking with them, which I didn't realize, okay, then they knew, and they said, no, we're all from Iran. And they said in computer science in Iran, 50%, if not more, are females there. They were shocked to come to Canada and only see 20% in the classrooms, because a lot of them did their PhD here. It was unheard of. So how come in Iran you can have 50% females in the STEM and in Canada only 20%? That's a cultural issue on the Canadian side. Secondly, I thought it was very interesting, some of the questions from the men in the audience saying, I do need more people, and I need to hire more women. how do I hire women? How do I entice them to join my company because it's critical for my success of my company? And one gentleman who's the CEO made that statement. I tweeted out late last night an article from Wired magazine, research from Wired from Stanford, and it said that only 26% of the women who graduate with a STEM degree go into the technology sector. And what they're finding is the interview process is even biased against the women, and the women are saying, I don't want to join that company. So we need more, for Canada, you need more people in AI. Go after the other 50% of the population that sit there. You already trained them. So how do we make them culturally feel like they're welcomed into the companies? And I think that was one of the comments of one of the university students. She was so impressed that it wasn't an HR person representing the STEM women. It was real scientists, brilliant women. So I think it was great.
Well, ladies, thank you. I am sitting in greatness, in the company of greatness, and it's so wonderful. I love our city, and I love ladies like yourself that step up and really kind of showcase what we should be doing and how we can change things. So, and we believe that every time we do something like this and we talk about it and we get the word out there, it's one step closer to making that change happen. So thank you so much for sharing all your insight today. We look forward to hearing more about you, and we look forward to seeing how this grows, and we can just share more with women in data science and hopefully get more women involved in AI, period. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, ladies. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have these ladies that's leaving me now, and they are going to go take over the world as they usually do. But we are going to continue today because we do have a spectacular suite of guests. So I'm going to welcome them in. Come on in. Here we go. First, come sit over here. There, you can sit on that one over there for me. David, come sit right here next to me. Perfect. All right. Okay. Here we go. So let's get things started here. And I wasn't sure if Alison is joining us or not. Are you joining us, Alison? Yeah. There we go. I think yes. There we go. We are just live today. We're going to make the most of all these opportunities to get all these amazing people together. So on today's episode here, as I said, on Techopia is a little bit different because we not only are making the most of the opportunity of being here at the Science and Technology Museum here in Ottawa and celebrating the women in data science, but we're also here, and it's interesting, talking about AI, and now we're going to move a little bit into blockchain as well and how this all comes together. But with me today, I also have David joining me here today. David is with Stratford Managers, and he's my co-host. So David, maybe share us a little bit firstly about yourself, and then maybe you have a question for our featured guest here today, which is Mr. Dan Willis, the CTO and co-founder of Leonovus, which is a company that's really been making some waves and doing some amazing things within our city, and I'm so glad we get to talk to you a little bit today, Dan.
Well, thank you. Yes, I work with small and medium-sized companies, and basically helping companies such as Leonovus to, identify your secret sauce and figure out the best way to protect that and to make some money off of it. So, my question for you, and this is something I talk to a lot of new companies, is that you're so busy. What I see, you're so busy doing what you do, working on new products. How do you find the time to spend the right amount of time on strategic issues such as intellectual property and managing that?
Okay, it's an excellent question. We usually do that in the last 24 hours of the 48-hour day. No, you're right. It's difficult to put that strategic time aside, but if you don't do it, you will stagnate and you will die on the vine. So we actually took a page out of Google's book, where myself, I devote basically 20% of my time, at least a day a week, on either IP or on other things that are outside my direct focus that are more strategic thinking. We also have, actually one of our staff members has been hired in specifically to focus on innovation. That's his role, and more with where we engage with enterprise, but it's a much broader role, focusing and recognizing that that's got to be a growth area for us.
So Dan, I'm going to ask you the toughest question here really today, is I know you play such a Leonova is making such headway and AI and of course blockchain itself. But maybe for anybody that's watching this, how can you break down what blockchain is? So let's break that down, just what blockchain is in the most basic form possible. And then maybe you could share with us a little bit how the company is changing from where it was when you first founded it and to where it is today. Because I know you're adapting to the market. So let's start with our first question. How, explain blockchain to us a little bit, and then how the company's evolved since you founded it and it's grown up to this point.
Okay. So what is blockchain? You're right. That's how many hours do I have? But
2 minutes.
To boil it down, blockchain is a trustless means, meaning you don't have to trust any other third party to exchange information or in a unique and atomic manner. And that way you can do transactions and guarantee. Perfect example. If I were to give you 10 cents, at one point in time I'm holding the dime, then you're holding the dime.
Yes.
This allows you to do that electronically with any transaction. It's not just an exchange of funds, it can be an exchange of ideas, a smart contract, any exchange of data, any transfer of data has to have the concept of not existing in two places at the same time. That problem has been the major problem in the world. You couldn't just copy that dime, then we'd have 20 cents. Now that'd work great for my pocketbook, but not so much for the government's.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, blockchain is a secure way, without having an intervening body like a bank or a financial lender, to process your transaction. So it accelerates business all over the world. You can supply and chain management, financial transactions, just transfer of data back and forth. Now, to go to your second question, how do we use it? We've actually started to apply processes on top of the blockchain. A lot of people talk about digital currency, cryptocurrencies. That's a valid application, but that's just one application. That's really the very thin layer of the iceberg on top. We are actually applying the blockchain in our case from a security perspective. We have this great puzzle that is the data that we store securely and how it's all mapped out. We take key pieces of that puzzle and we put it securely into the blockchain. So we're using it as the secure mechanism of transferring the data and maintaining the data. And I forgot to mention, it's also kind of like a vault for you that goes back in time. It's like the old time capsules. But instead of taking your old lunchbox and burying it in the backyard, you bury it in the blockchain, inside the block, and everybody in the blockchain has a copy. So everybody can go back in time to moment zero. So you can regress back in time. That works very well for our product. So you can step back in time in your data. Works very well from a transaction auditing perspective. Whether you're auditing for regulatory reasons or whether you're auditing to make sure that your smart contract got executed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wow.
Can I add? So the way I simplify it also is, because you did explain blockchain, is because everyone says, I have to do blockchain, I have to do blockchain. Blockchain, I view, is like the railroad tracks. You got to have railroad tracks. But the value is, what do you put on the railroad tracks? That's where Leonovus puts this object storage solution on the railroad tracks. So when people are thinking, I have to do blockchain, you really need to ask, well, what's the application? Because the application is the business, not just building out. Yeah, somebody has to build out the railroad tracks, but it's really, what are you going to put on it and what's your application is the key.
I love that. And that's why Alison is in charge of the communication as marketing as well. There you go, exactly. Thank you, Alison. Exactly. Exactly. Dan is so technical, and that's why he's a CTO. Dan, maybe you could share this with us a little bit. We were just talking, David and I, about how what's happening on the Quebec side from just the mining of data for blockchain, and why companies would go over to that side of the border because they could save some money on the electricity for that matter, and just to make that happen because they were. And you're a company though. You're in Ottawa. You're growing. You're expanding. You're hiring. I mean, that's just one challenge. That's just power that you're dealing. How are you dealing with these challenges, and maybe what are some of the key challenges that you've had to deal with in embracing this new market that you have had to deal with, but slowly but surely overcoming and moving forward?
So the challenges of working in the Ottawa market? Is that your question?
just maybe even in the AI or even as the
Oh, look, the biggest challenges in AI, actually they're common across all three, I think. AI, blockchain, and dealing in the auto market. In the auto market, we have a lot of mature talent coming out of the optics space and out of telephony space, but there's not a whole lot of depth in the blockchain side. There's a bit more depth in the AI side, as has been demonstrated here today, which actually I'm very impressed. But it's still very hard to recruit these people. I find a lot of the AI people are going either with very large firms or with tend to be academics. Blockchain, it's very much academic. You're an academic crypto person, or you're very much into trading the currencies. We want to get the people who want to use it as the railway tracks, use it for the applications. And so you need the people who have the experience of doing the application side with the depth on the blockchain side. And frankly, I don't think there are very many institutions that are teaching blockchain yet. And so new grads aren't even a place that you can tap into. So it's a challenge, but it's one we're prepared to embrace and run with.
Yeah, I think also we're looking, so I'm also head of partnerships, okay? And so we're looking at partnerships to round out and add value, and that was one of the themes that came out of today's conference also. It's about your ecosystem that you build around yourself. So we just announced a partnership with a company called iConnect. They're based in London, Ontario, and they do a lot of analysis of millions of documents. So they're kind of on the AI side.
The heuristics they use are very much AI.
They're very much AI. And so this is the tie-in between AI and the blockchain. They do all the analysis of the millions and millions of documents. They take care of like an Enron legal case. And with their analysis, identify what are the top, let's say, 100 documents that the lawyer should really care about. Back to what Jody had spoken about, AI is great at doing the analysis, but when it starts thinking, well, what should I really do with that? And that human instinct, that's where the human does have to come into play. And so we've partnered with them. So they do all this analysis of the data, and then we can store it. And we can then put it onto the blockchain. So you have that history, because some of this data has to exist for 7 to 10 years because of these legal cases. So it's getting the right partners. I'd say in Ottawa, it'd be nice to even get more local partners. As I said, we've got our London, Ontario-based partner. We'll be looking around for maybe there's some similar Ottawa-based partners that we can tie in with.
Last question I'll ask. This is not technical, but a big question. He loves the technical questions. Dan, maybe you can share with us what is the future? What does the next 3, 5, maybe even 10 years possibly look like for LeoNovus? And now we're going to quote you on this, and we're going to say, we're going to send you this clip back in like 5 years. Yeah, exactly. Be careful now. He's like, this is the toughest question. Exactly.
Okay, so first I have to start with seek safe harbor. No, so I mean I can give you my personal opinions. I can't give you the corporate positions because we are a public company. Yes. Definitely, we're very much. We feel that we're growing both on the blockchain side and on the data side. The reality is, case in point again with this conference, you saw the large data sets they were talking about, and they're only growing. You heard one of the people from the audience who says she has more data than she knows what to do with. Well, we're here to secure all that data because that's very valuable, and being able to get access to that and be able to flow that, we're here to make that happen. That's going to only grow. I mean, the demand for data is not disappearing. It's not falling off. So as a company, we're here to make sure that you get your data securely, you can meet all your compliance requirements, and here's the best part, you can get to do it affordably too. That's not going to change. That's going to improve. That's going to grow. Where are we in 5 to 10 years? The nice thing about what we've designed, I'm sorry, I'm going to make it a technical question. We've designed a platform that can move and adapt with the evolution of the cloud, with the evolution of the techno world around it. What does the cloud look like in 10 years from now? I really don't know. Yeah. But we designed it such that we can be there. And we'll evolve with it. It's future-proof. Perfect. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's a lot happening. Well, thank you so very much for joining me today. Once again, thank you very much, David from Stratford Managers, and thank you very much, Dan from Leonovus, and of course, Alison, which was help coordinate the Women in Data Science Conference as well, and also, of course, communications and marketing, and also partnerships at Leonovus. A little bit of everything. Thank you so much for joining us today. And for those of you that's watched it here on Techopia, make sure that you stay tuned. Go to techopia.ca to get more information and get everything you need surrounding these wonderful companies. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.